Male stereotypes throughout society, such as alpha and beta, have long been recognized. Because of their domineering, aggressive, and competitive traits, alpha males are the most noticeable members of a group, and frequently assume leadership positions. In contrast, beta males are usually more subdued, helpful, and non-aggressive, frequently serving as the alpha's pillars of support. But beyond these well-known classifications, there's another character that's becoming more and more popular: the Sigma male. Sigma males exhibit features and qualities that contradict the accepted alpha-beta paradigm. Despite their superior intelligence, they would rather work alone and stay out of the limelight that typically falls on alpha males. Sigma males don't feel the need to flaunt their accomplishments or position to the public, in contrast to alphas and betas. They choose to share their successes and experiences with a small group of people, keeping their personal lives private. Because they have chosen not to share their lives with the public, Sigma males exude a mysterious and intriguing air that attracts and excites everyone in their vicinity. What therefore makes Sigma males so cautious and private? Well, in this video, I'll be discussing 7 reasons why Sigma males keep their personal lives hidden from the public. Number 1. Weaponized information. Sigma males have isolated lives, partly because they follow the maxim, the less people know about you, the less they can use against you. This strategic secrecy is not motivated by paranoia, but rather by an in-depth knowledge of human nature and the potential for information sharing to be misused. Quick and accurate readers of people, Sigma males can determine just how much information to reveal depending on a number of variables, including the other person's age, social rank, position of authority, and general connection. For example, they know how important it is to keep a professional distance from coworkers. If they divulge too much personal information at work, it may be detrimental to their career if some private material ends up in the wrong hands. As a result, Sigma males have perfected the art of sharing just enough information to preserve social relationships when necessary, while maintaining their privacy to protect their own interests. Number 2, they have a limited circle of trust. Because they are independent guys who conduct their lives according to their own rules, they have a strong sense of what constitutes a trustworthy person based on their knowledge of human nature, survival instincts, and prior experiences. They feel that only a chosen few, those who have demonstrated their dependability and loyalty, should be allowed to see inside their personal lives. Some people might find this practice to be unduly cautious, but for a Sigma male, it is a sensible tactic for protecting oneself. They've probably been betrayed or had their trust abused in the past, so they know that trust is something you have to earn and shouldn't be given away. As such, they keep a close lid on their inner lives to protect themselves from future setbacks or betrayals of confidence. A Sigma male's confidence in you is essentially a sign of his respect for you, and you should not take it lightly. Number 3, people tend to draw conclusions too quickly. Sigma males live secretive lives, avoiding the public's prying eyes with their private matters. Their comprehension of human nature and people's tendency to propagate rumors, disinformation, or even unsubstantiated lies when motivated by envy, jealousy, or a sense of threat is a major factor in this behavior. Because of their outrageous ways and frequently remarkable achievements, Sigma males are often the subject of unnecessary drama and aggressive behavior. This is unneeded noise that diverts a Sigma male's attention from its goals. As a result, they choose privacy, reducing their chance of being misinterpreted or being the focus of idle rumors. With this tactic, they may keep moving forward on their successful path without the unnecessary drama that is frequently caused by jealous or threatening people. Number 4, they stay away from leeches. Privacy is a highly valued asset for Sigma males, mainly because it acts as a shield against possible betrayers, those who would try to take advantage of them for personal benefit. With their well-earned expertise and success, Sigma males are appealing targets for others who want to take advantage of their accomplishments without having to put in the same amount of effort. These people can be crafty and deceptive, trying to get important information, assets, or favors under the name of networking or friendship. Sigma males try to stay out of situations like these. They eliminate the possibility of being taken advantage of by keeping a low profile and disclosing nothing about their accomplishments or expertise. It's not that they are against helping others, rather, they just want to make sure that their support isn't misused or taken advantage of. By doing this, Sigma males protect their achievements and keep moving forward without becoming distracted. Number 5. Oversharing is a weakness. The tendency for oversharing, especially on social media, is seen by Sigma males as a serious flaw in contemporary culture. The digital age has created a society where personal boundaries are frequently dissolved, even as it has also opened up many new channels for expression and interaction. This tendency has led to a lot of men and women sharing far too many personal facts online without considering the long-term effects. Anything that is uploaded to the internet is nearly hard to take down once it is, creating a digital tattoo in the huge online community. Knowing this, Sigma males exercise caution in what they disclose and where they share it. Many Sigma males rarely, if ever, post on social media since they truly don't care about getting attention from people there, and also to protect their privacy. Number 6. They don't have to explain themselves. Sigma males tend to live quiet lives since their distinct perspectives and unconventional way of living frequently cause people to misunderstand and even misinterpret them. Their ways of thinking, seeing the world, and living differ greatly from conventional conventions, which might make them mysterious characters. When a Sigma male exhibits unusual perspectives or behaviors, others frequently ask for justifications in an effort to understand what appears to be counterintuitive. But Sigma males don't feel compelled to defend their decisions or ways of doing things to other people. They are strong believers in their own beliefs and cherish their independence. They may find it tiresome and needless to repeatedly clarify oneself to a primarily perplexed audience. Thus, Sigma males preserve their peace of mind and protect their distinct path by living a solitary life and avoiding the stressful practice of frequent explanation. Number 7. They learn more from listening than talking. Naturally perceptive, Sigma males tend to keep quiet and pay close attention throughout talks. Their quiet stems from a strong desire to comprehend and learn, not from indifference. This contrasts with a well-noted current trend where a lot of people appear to be more willing to listen to others than to express their ideas and experiences. People today like listening to themselves talk. This is where Sigma males stand out. Because they are silent by nature, they are able to pick up on nonverbal clues, nuances, and subtext that others who get caught up in their own stories may miss. A Sigma male sees every interaction as a chance to learn new things, broaden their knowledge base, and improve their understanding of the people and environment around them. They illustrate the proverb that reads, "We should listen more than we speak because we have 2 ears and 1 mouth." If you agree with the points I made in this video, let me know in the comments. For more videos on Sigma males, check out some other videos on this channel. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more. We upload multiple times per week. Click here to see our next video.